I didn't even tell you. So I have finished the Lords of the Underworld book series, as it is of right now. Well, let me finish. So I know another book like in that universe, The Warlord, comes out in like February. So I got some space, and so I was like, let me catch up on some of these fan fictions that I read. And so one of them I like started over because I knew it wasn't that long, and I don't know if it's finished or not, but I read it, went through, and while I'm reading it, I hate this when you're like, you're reading a book and you pick up on something that's happening, but the main character that you're seeing everything through does not see it. And so we've talked about this before. I like to read Harry Potter fan fiction, and I specifically ship Wolfstar and be reading Marauders era fan fiction, specifically when Sirius and Remus are together or get together. We've talked about that. This one is like super loose because most of these characters are original characters that this person made up. James and Lily are there. Remus and Sirius are there. And then there's a couple other random people who have names of the same characters, like from Harry Potter. But other than that, like, it has nothing to do with Harry Potter. It is a hockey-themed fan fiction. You guys should check it out if you think it's interesting. It's called Sweater Weather. It's by Lumos and Love. I found it on Tumblr, but the whole thing is on Archive of Our Own. So I'm reading it, right? And it starts to get stressful because that's how it be. Stuff gets stressful because the whole thing is, Sirius is a professional hockey player. He's a captain of the Gryffindor Lions.
The Gryffindor Lions.
And then Remus is like the team's one of their physical therapists. And the whole thing where like they figure out they like each other and they decide let's have this secret relationship. All that happens. But as they're, trying to hide their relationship, there's like some stuff that's happening with other characters that you see through Remus's eyes, because most of the chapters are from him, and then towards the end they start having some from Sirius, but most of them are from Remus's point of view. And I'm reading this, and I'm like, does he not notice that some of these other characters, there's something going on with him? Romantically? Does he not see that? And then I was getting confused. But then I realized why I was getting confused. I was getting confused on who was with who. Because what it ended up being at the end was these three guys end up deciding to just be in a relationship together. And that's why I was getting confused. So I was like, I thought these two were together. But then this other one was there. And I was like, okay, so maybe it's the other one. And maybe one of them just knows. But the three of them decide to get into a relationship together. And then on top of that,
they got the trifecta.
Yeah, and then on top of that, I guess since people really like those, because all three of them are completely original characters that this author made up, and then they also made like a spin-off fic with them, but it's not really like a full spin-off. It like fills in the gaps on what's going on with their relationship during the same time. And so I noticed, because when I was reading Sweater Weather, I noticed at the bottom, because sometimes they leave notes and stuff, that they were putting, like chapter whatever of Coast to Coast, because that's what they end up naming it, came out with this chapter. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to check out Coast to Coast. And then as I'm reading, I'm like, I really like these characters. So I was like, let me read that one too. And I read it. And it fills in the whole gaps. Because they had mentioned, two of the players had known each other back in college. And then one of them got drafted into the team, and then like the next year the other one did. So it was like lucky for them that they're best friends, and then they both got drafted to the same NHL team.
Must be fate.
And then you find out in their fic, it goes back in time when they were in college. When they first got there, they were roommates, and then they're friends and stuff. But then it started to be weird, where it's like, I guess they started kind of feeling each other, but then they didn't act on it. And then you find out there were two instances where they did act on it, but they just never talk about it. Oh. And then
forbidden fruit.
Pretty much, because like the second time, that second incident that happened, the one that got drafted first, that was his last night there, and then he was leaving, and he left, and then he joined the Gryffindor Lions. But yeah. And so what ends up happening is cause okay, let me just say the characters' names. I gotta remember the right order. So Finn is the one that got drafted into the Gryffindor Lions first. He has like I think red hair and glasses. Finn, and then you have Logan, blonde hair. He is French, and he speaks French, and they're the two that were college buddies. Um,
Oh, the forbidden fruit.
and so Finn gets drafted, and then a year later, Logan also gets drafted. So Finn, for some reason, has a 3-bedroom apartment in Gryffindor, and so he's like assuming that Logan is gonna come and stay with him. But because of the nature of their friendship and the fact that Logan is afraid, he opts to not stay with him, to stay with another team member. Because I guess they do this thing where it's like if you're new, they'll let you stay with one of the other guys so you can like get settled, and then you can get your own place if you want to. And so there's this other character, and he's so great, Dumo. He's like the dad of the team. He's one of the older players, and then he a lot of times has players when they first get there to live with him for a little while until they get settled. And so it's like his family is everyone's family. His wife and his kids, they're like everybody's family. They have things at their house, and everyone comes to their house, and it's so great. And even in like sweater weather with Sirius and Remus, it's like he knew that something was going on with them, and he like pushed them without them knowing that he did it. Because even in sweater weather, like the first time that they decide, okay, we're gonna get together, they were snowed in at his house. Like, and he acted like he didn't know nothing about that there was a storm coming, and then it was his suggestion that they spend a night there and not go out in the weather. But then even in this one, so Logan, because you know when sweater weather starts, it's been a few years with them being on the team, and Logan moved in with Dumo and just like never moved out. So like the press like crack jokes about them being father and son playing on the hockey because he's like part of their family, and they're friends too. Dumo and his family, they're friends too. And so it's like this whole interesting thing. And so Logan does not want to live with Finn because he does not want their relationship to go any further because he is afraid.
He's scared.
And then Finn was pretty much he moved his stuff in at Dumo's, and then went to Finn's place, like, so they catch up. And then Finn's like, I have all this space, like, I don't understand why you didn't just stay here. And he's like,
Move
you know
here.
why. And they're like, you know what, forget it, let's just go out and have fun out in town. So they do that. And then, but I thought it was interesting because there was one point where, because sometimes you get like little snippets of what the press says, and they were talking about them like when they do, you know, the national anthem and stuff before the game starts, they're always like, I think Finn always has his hand on Logan's shoulder, and it's always like that, and everybody thinks it's like a cute best friend moment. But then it's like later you find out like it's just that romantic tension that has been sitting there that they're ignoring. So fast forward to the next year, after Logan's been on team for a year, you get another new guy, Leo. He's from Louisiana. He also happens to speak French, even though he's from here. Instead of him, you know, staying in a hotel or whatever, Finn was like, look, I have all this extra space. If anybody ever needs to stay here, they can. And so he volunteered, and he's never met Leo. He volunteers to have Leo come over and stay with him because he has, you know, all these extra rooms. And so him and Leo, like, become friends real quick. And then this is where it was like, it gets a little muddled in the story. At some point, both Finn and Logan start having feelings for Leo, because the three of them hang out, like they're called the Cubs because they're the youngest members of the team, because it's the Lions, you know, the Lion Cubs.
Yeah.
And so I guess the three of them spend time together all the time, and then like I guess one night Finn could tell that Leo was like homesick. Because, you know, he's from Louisiana, and it's the South, and it's warm, and then they out here in Gryffindor, and it's snowing, and it's cold and stuff. And then then Leo's talking about, like, how you can't see the stars that where they're at in Gryffindor, but, like, from where he's at, you can see the stars, and it's, like, this great, like, little, like, touching moment, and then Finn's like, you know, we can get some of those glow-in-the-dark stars put up in your room, like, we'll bring the stars to you. And then next thing you know, they're kissing, and then it's like a whole thing. And he's like,
wow.
wait, like, one, like, there's obviously something going on with you and Logan. And two, I forgot to tell you. So there was this whole thing where this is where I noticed, where I was like, okay, obviously there's something going on with some of these characters. They had like a Christmas party, and you know, everybody's bringing their family or significant others and stuff over to Dumo's house, and Finn brings a girl with him, and he introduced her to everybody. And then the worst part is, this is when like Remus finally starts to put things together, because like there's already been all these little like pieces that I had picked up on, but he didn't. Leo, this is where I got so confused, because Leo was talking to him, and he was like, I think you should talk to Logan, because Logan is like obviously distraught, and he has like sisters there with him, and they're like patting him on the back, like trying to console him, but they're like, you know, moving on, like acting like he'll get it together, because and so Remus, I remember he was like, what do you mean I should talk to him? And then this is the part that did not make sense. Plot hole. They're athletes. They talk about like the fact that they all shower like in the same space and stuff. Why does Leo have a rainbow bracelet that he says he always has on? I'm like, ain't nobody seen it? Anybody seen your rainbow bracelet? But anyway, so he shows it to Remus like, I'm not hiding, but at the same time, like, really ain't nobody else's business, you know, but I think that you should talk to Logan, because he's obviously struggling with something. And so... yeah. But yeah, and so when Finn and Leo kiss, he's like, dude, she's not my girlfriend. Like, I went out on dates with her to, like, get over Logan, because he didn't want to move forward. But she realized right away and flat out told me, like, you're in love with somebody. Who is it? And so, like, she's just my really good friend now. But she knows. And then it was funny, because in that scene, there was one part where she was like, is that him? And then they never, like, addressed that. And it's like, oh, because he told her her everything. Wow. Yeah, it's interesting. And then it's like, in Sweater with, like, Sirius and Remus get outed. And it's, like, so dramatic. And you're like, dang, I feel for them. But then it like works out, so I don't know. It was rough. I knew something like that was gonna happen though, because they're being so sneaky, and there was a couple of close little calls there. But on New Year's, that's where they messed up. On New Year's, Remus had, and it's weird because Remus has like a little brother in the story. So Remus, his parents, and his little brother, they're all staying at his place. And when his parents and little brother go to sleep, he sneaks out. Sirius pretty much told him, like, hey, I'm outside. Like, come out when you can.
Meet me out here.
And he goes out there, meets him out there. They make out in the car and stuff. And then somebody took pictures, and you could tell exactly who both of them were. And the worst thing is, they went, and it went a while before those pictures came out. So they did an away game where they won, and everybody's all, like, feeling good. And they're in the airport, and that's when the pictures hit, and everybody's phones started going off.
It's like, we showered together.
And they look at the phones, and then everybody's looking at Sirius and Remus, and then Sirius pretty much takes off, like, dips, and leaves Remus behind. And then James, you know, James the best friend, James goes to Remus, and he's like, dude, I'm going to take you home. Lily is already headed to your house. She's going to be there. And then, because he's like, no, you need to go to Sirius. He's like, no, I'm going to go to Sirius after I hand you off to Lily, because you're obviously not okay either. And then James went to Sirius. Sirius did not open the door for him. It's, like, stressful. Damn. And then there's a whole thing where it's, like, their jobs, they're like, oh, well, Remus has, you know, access to you guys in a way where maybe he took advantage. And he's like, no, he didn't. Like, stop. And it's, like, a whole thing. But then on the flip side, that happening to them and the fact that, like, Sirius, like, dipped out on Remus caused Logan to be like, that was ridiculous. I would never do that. And then it, like, fixes the three of their relationship together. Like, but it was weird because, like, when I was reading it, and then, like, when Finn and Leo get together, they're pretty much like, we both like Logan too. Let's go get him. And I'm like, in my mind, I was like, I get that, especially now in 2020, a lot of people are down for those types of relationships. It's like, what if he wasn't?
Yeah,
they pretty much immediately start making plans for the three of them to be together. When that happened, you know, they're all there because they're all on the team. Finn is like, I'm gonna go with Logan because he's already been struggling, and he's like, and then we'll meet you at the house or whatever. And so he goes with Logan to Dumo's house because that's where Logan lives, and they talk it out. And Logan's pretty much like, I would have never done that. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. I don't like how he handled that at all. And then they figure out what they're gonna do, and then and then they go to Finn's place, and then they all have a talk. They talk about their plan.
Oh, okay, yeah, we having a big long conversation, eh? Okay.
They do. No, well, the thing is, they don't have time to have like this huge weird conversation or whatever, because there's the hockey all-star game, which Logan and Sirius are both in, and so I think they only have pretty much like the night to talk, and then Logan had to immediately fly out to wherever the game was, and then Sirius also had the same issue, but then he also didn't talk to Remus like he should have, and just like panicked. And then they go, and then they find a whole bunch of people are super supportive. There are teenagers with like rainbow posters and stuff with Sirius' name on it. There's a whole bunch of random players, because it's an all-star game, so there's players from all the teams, and some of them have taped up their sticks in rainbow tape to be like, we're still cool with you too, like, you're a great player, that's all that matters. And there's like a whole thing. Yeah. And then what's funny is that Finn has a brother that is also a player for a team, and he comes up, he got the rainbow tape, and he gives Sirius some, and then and his brothers and Logan some, and then the brother mentions like that he knows about, which is funny because it's like they just got together, but I guess it's been that obvious to family members.
Yeah.
But I don't know, those fan fictions were interesting. I have some other ones that I have to catch up on too, but I like took a break.
Yeah, and not to mention the webtoon ones, but
there's a lot of time, so much to read. It's a lot. I also found a new book series to read, so it's a lot. It's a lot happening. Reading a lot. Not as much as I wanted to, because not only am I reading, but then been, editing with new software for the podcast, and then on top of that, I also started playing Among Us. So I'm doing a lot.
Oh yeah.
I'm doing. My Cricut. I made this little guy.
Oh, you made a little sus dude.
A little Among Us person. So for work, but this is too big. I want to make them smaller for work. So
how's the Cricut working out?
It's cool. Like I cut these today, but what made me mad is I'm glad I bought that extra mat, because I dropped the mat that came with it on the floor. Now it's covered in cat hair. I know there's a way to clean it, but I gotta look up how to do it. And so I opened up the new one today, because I was gonna actually return that one since this one came with the mat. But whatever, I'm keeping it. So I'm like, I'm doing a lot. I'm doing a whole lot. I was editing today and trying to watch Teen Titans. I need a nap. No, I took a nap today too, so I fit everything in. And then I'm off. I worked yesterday. I'm off today, tomorrow, and the next day, because I took Saturday and Sunday off because it's Halloween. I don't think I'm doing anything besides going to Chipotle, but I'm gonna at least stay home, probably watch some Harry Potter or some other horror movies throughout the day, and chill in my cat onesie. It's a plan.
That sounds like fun, actually. I work, so.
Did you guys decorate for the people? No.
They don't do any kind of decorations. I was gonna dress up, but we went yesterday, but the line at Spirit was too long, and I didn't want to wait in the line. And then we were gonna go today, but we went to sleep super, super late yesterday because we were playing some video games, and then we were watching TV and stuff like that. So we didn't go to sleep till like this morning, and I didn't wake up till like 3, 4 maybe. I don't remember, but I was up pretty much 24 hours.
No,
so
I could not.
Yeah. Twice in a row since I worked on Monday 24 hours.
I could not do that.
Yeah.
Like, I can't be around people that long.
Yeah, so I pretty much slept all of Wednesday, and I had Thursday, Friday off.
Well.
Oh, no. I slept all of Tuesday, because I worked Monday. I got off Tuesday morning. Slept all of Tuesday. Wednesday, still slept in some, but not too bad, but I had that day off. Then I took Thursday, Friday off too.
So, Danny, we've been talking for like an hour, and we haven't even gotten.
Well, it's been a minute since we
haven't even gotten to this week's episode.
This cat, I don't know. You are going outside, Castiel, and you're not coming back in. You are not welcomed in this room until I am done. I honestly think he just wants the door to be open so he has the option to do whatever he'd like. Having the door
maybe I
closed.
want to come in the room, maybe I don't, but I want to have that
You
option.
don't want... Exactly.
Mm-mm.
Little piece of cat. All right, hold on.